You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. Welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. It's kind of fun here at the garden center this week because the baby hummingbirds have launched. So we got all these tiny little hummingbirds, especially in the morning. They're really the antics. They're still trying to figure out flowers and they're buzzing around the salvia. We've got one of hummingbirds' just absolute favorite, their first go-to. It's their first time out of the nest flying around. They're flying around all the flowers at the garden center. And they just love red salvia or autumn sage. And it doesn't matter what color red. There's like a salmon red. There's called hot lips. It's a white with a red edge. It's just pure red, radio red salvia. They just love red salvia. And they'll be all over them in the morning. It's almost ridiculous. Just kind of watch out, guys. I'm coming through. Got to put these over here. We're going to show them off. They're so pretty. And they'll just follow you through the nursery trying to get to these flowers. Salvia, if you're new to the area, this is a really common plant here. I mean, that red comes in a lot of colors, but red seems to be the most popular because of all the hummingbirds. But it's a shrub about knee high and call it knee wide, kind of ball shaped, real easy to grow, loves full sun. If you give it more sun, it gives more flowers, takes the wind, takes our crummy soil. Just kind of a bulletproof plant. And it blooms from now through autumn. I mean, it's just ridiculous bloom cycle, which is why the hummingbirds like it so well. They're used to that flavor. Also comes in purple. I got a new blue one in. It's really cool. Called Violet Blue, I believe, something like that. Anyway, we got some new 2 gallons that just came in, some nice big full ones. So blue is a new color introduction, but red. Hummingbirds love red salvia for some reason. It's just fun, something different. I noticed this week the bumblebees are back. So I don't know where they go or what happens, but honeybees come out first. They're pollinating stuff. They started March, going after like a rosemary. They just love rosemary. And so they're out doing that. But bumblebees they're not out yet. I think they hibernate longer or wait for the soil to warm up. And then finally they come out and take off again. And there's carpenter bees. It's a black bumblebee. It looks like a bumblebee, but it's all black, has the stripes on it, but it's black stripes. And they're also called cutter bees. They'll take little perfect, like dime size holes out of your roses or out of your leaves. They're digesting them. They take them back to the nest. They build nests and that kind of stuff with it. They don't damage the plant. They just take holes out of it. It drives some gardeners crazy, but I just kind of went, well, it's nature. I'm willing to share a few holes in my leaves for carpenter cutter bees to go out there. So anyway, it's full circle. Everyone's out right now. Everything's growing. I could not think of a better type of weather to grow tomatoes. I mean, any kind of vegetable, it flowers, anything. It's 70s during the day, just under 80. At night, it's 50s. That is like the perfect window for growing things. Now, tomatoes and squash and cucumbers, they're going to actively grow. And then once you get up into that mid 90s, they halt. They kind of go, whoa, I don't know. This is pretty hot. I'm not going to produce fruit as much. So, but this sweet spot, this kind of weather right now, you could not ask for a better planting window to put vegetables in, to put herbs, honeysuckle, to put flowers like zinnias and geraniums and petunias. It's like the perfect growing weather because the days are warm but not hot. The evenings are cool but not cold. It's like perfect. So I've got how many tomatoes? I put in 5 peppers, 4 tomatoes. Let me think here. 2 cucumbers. I love growing pumpkins because if you want to impress the grandkids, they come out to visit during the fall. Just have them go pick a pumpkin with you. It's like magic. And so we always plant some of those. And so it'll continue. I'll plant a few things. Lots of flowers went in this week. And they are thriving. So you put them in because there's not these extremes back and forth. They take easier. They take better. Now, when you're planting, you prepare the soil, do all that stuff. And then I always give it some root and grow. They do kind of freak out. Like they're going to go into shock. They're going to go, whoa, what did you just do to me? I've known this little bucket here from my lovely gardener grower at the nursery. And now this is the perfect, they've perfectly watered me, gave me nutrients. I've been so happy, growing so fast. And you took them out of the bucket and chucked them in your soil. They're going to freak out. So I always give them root and grow. It's a compost tea that we make here. It looks like molasses almost. It's got a texture like that. You put 3 tablespoons in a gallon of water, and you just water things, and it helps things it soothes the roots of the plants, gets them to start rooting out faster, gets them to kind of acclimate to that new garden soil. It's every time I plant, I always do that. We mentioned that it's a good window to plant, not just your vegetable thing. I mean, yes, all the annuals are going in right now, all the flowers, all the vegetables, but you couldn't ask for a better time to put a new shade tree in. This is your time to put shade. If you want shade when it's hot in the summer, now's the time to put your aspens and your maples and your ash and your locusts and all those other fast growing shade trees. I had someone come in. They had bought a red maple, Acer rubrum, from a box store. He said, "What's wrong with my tree? Can you tell me? Help me. I went, "Well, first of all, we don't sell that tree for a reason here at Watters Garden Center because it's not a good tree for here, but I sure hope it was cheap at the box store. But I would say don't replace it when it fails for you finally with another of the same thing. Get something better. There's a Prescott Blaze maple that's so much faster growing. Doesn't do that curly stuff. Doesn't get have all the issues. So, but now's the time. Fruit trees. If you're putting a cherry tree, boy, the cherry harvest is unbelievable this year. It's lots of peaches this year. Apples are coming on, pears. All those can go in right now because it's the perfect window for them as well. The soil is warm. The days are warm, but not hot. The nights are cool, but not cold. And so they just root out really fast and very easily. If you need privacy, oh my gosh, we just had the most beautiful Arizona cypress come in. These are full, chubby. This is our native evergreen. In fact, many of the junipers you see growing out there, they're not junipers. They're actually Arizona cypress. And the difference, the only way I can really tell, the texture looks the same. It's 25 feet tall, 12 feet wide, solid. You can't see through it. So it's a good windbreak or privacy screen. But instead of a berry, so junipers put berries on, Arizona cypress they put on like a golf ball size pine cone. So that's the real difference. Pine cones are berries. It's how they reproduce, but they're fast, some of the fastest growing of the evergreens, but you rarely see really big ones and really nice ones. And so we were able to get some of those this week. And if you put those in the ground now, your evergreens, they're going to root. They have to root first. When they're actually rooted out in the surrounding soil, then they start elongating or the top growth just takes off. So usually it's year 1, they root, year 2, they start growing, literally double in size the next spring season. If you could put them in now while this weather's just perfect window, I think you'll get more growth, additional growth this year, as well as additional growth next spring. So you working with the environment instead of against it, game changer. And gardeners know this. They know there's seasons for everything. So you don't put mums in the ground now because that's a fall crop. You're putting in echinacеas and iris and salvias, especially the red salvias. If you like baby hummingbirds, that's the one. So even if you have an apartment, putting a red salvia in a container on the deck or the patio, you will have more. They will come and visit you, guaranteed. No feeder needed. Just put a red salvia out there. Don't even have to pot it. Just put it out there. You're going to see hummingbirds. It's just super fun. We got a lot in store for you. Lisa Watters Lain coming in with your garden questions right after this. Watters garden companion plants in May are purple robe locust, vining akevia, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and easy elegant roses.
Just plant these roses in a sunny spot and enjoy.
We've married the beauty of long stem roses with the easy care of shrub roses for landscape color like no other plant in the backyard.
Choose fragrant reds, radiant pinks, corals, vivacious yellows, and stately whites.
Extremely fragrant and only found locally at Watters Garden Center in Prescott. And we are back with Lisa Watters Lain in the studio. She comes each week with your garden questions, just what are neighbors talking about. And they've been talking. We had a record weekend, Mother's Day weekend. Just kind of set all kinds of, blew past all kinds of, 61 years, blew past all those. So people were energetic. I think part of that's compressed season. It was cold so long, people waited, and normally they would have planted 2-3 weeks earlier, but they didn't. They planted now, and so we had it compressed. So
I would agree.
I'll take it either way.
Either way, we'll take it. It's nice to see people out gardening, working in their yards. That's exciting.
I actually like spring because you get to see all your garden friends coming back. You haven't seen them because it's like snowing and it's just cold outside. Now it's everyone's out. It's kind of, you get to see that community of gardeners. It's very tight knit. Fun to see everyone.
Very much so. Yes.
So gardening questions. What are we talking about, my love?
Sure. So Ashley's in Prescott. She has some roses that have lots of wonderful buds, but those buds are not opening. And they look kind of brown on the roses. She wants to know, by golly, what happened? How do they fix it? Make it better.
So I mentioned that the previous segment, but basically that was on trees, but they're thrip get into roses as well. And so what happens is where that rose bud comes out, there's a little tiny bug that crawls inside the bud, and they nest. There's more than one. It's like a whole community of thrip. Or no-see-ums are inside the bud. If you were to actually break open that bud, you'd see bugs kind of jumping around inside the bud. They're eating the flower from the inside out. And that's why I tell folks, you should put rose food with systemic on your roses earlier. So it's like April and March even. Put it on so the plant will actually absorb this food and with the bug inhibitor inside the actual rosebud. And so that's it's too late now because they're already in the bud. So what do? Pray over your roses. That's all you can do. There's no way to get them. Once they're inside the bud, we can spray them. So I would say spray right now, no question, with triple action. It's a neem oil. It actually will take care of any bugs that are exposed onto the plant itself. So at least you don't have more damage. It's hard to get it inside the bud. Focus inside the buds on the buds as best you can. It does have a fragrance to it. It's got an odor that insects don't like. So you get a repelling action that'll help keep off the aphids, the thrip that are coming, that will keep coming. And then fertilize with the rose food with systemic. Do it now. So it's better to do it late than never. And then some of those buds won't open. Most, I think, will. And as it opens, that damaged or that brown or black petals, they kind of float to the outside, and the inside will be beautiful. And so I think you're going to recover, Ashley. You'll be fine. But now for next year, prune back in March, and then right afterwards, fertilize with the rose food with systemic. And really, you're only doing that early spring because this is when this bug shows up. They don't like summer.
Right.
They like spring. They like the cool, long days. This is when they thrive. It'll also help you with aphids. Watch out for aphids. They're starting to show up now as well. I've seen mildew showing up too. So powdery mildew's on just the leading indicators.
I think the cooler nights and the humidity have started that a little early too.
Triple action, Ashley. Come in and get some right away. It'll help you with all three of those: aphids, thrip, and mildew.
Yep. Okay. Next question is from Deb in Prescott Valley. She says, my neighbor has a large tree covered in purple blossoms that hang down. What is that tree?
It's Deb. Pretty. Great. So everyone's commenting on them. So they opened up last week. They always open up for Mother's Day. If you want a beautiful shade tree for years and years, for decades of Mother's Days to come, you plant purple robe locusts. That's what that tree is. So there's a big tree out there at all elevations. They've probably been blooming longer over in the Verde Valley, that side of the hill, the Sedonas, Camp Verdes, those areas. That's purple robe locust. And over here, this side of the hill, a little bit higher elevation, they just opened a few days ago. And so those are, it's got a wisteria kind of flower that hangs down about a foot, 8 inches or so. And the tree is just covered. And it will bloom like that for darn close to a month. Mm-hmm. And then it's just this beautiful shade tree up to about 35 feet tall, about 20 feet wide. And then locust, anytime you hear the word locust is a great tree for here. So they generally have smaller leaves, so they take our wind. They don't dry out as easily. There's another one that's a companion to that, that's a cousin, called golden locust or honey locust. You're seeing this bright yellow tree right now. That's golden locust. That they go together. So they take the wind, they're drought hardy. Now the golden locust doesn't bloom so much, but the foliage is so stunning that you just go, wow. And it looks really good against the native blues, dark greens, companion planted with aspens, just as a good contrasting plant. Then as we mature, that plant will actually turn green. So it's green through the summer, but the new growth is always gold. For the purple robe locust, it always puts on the flower first, then it leaves. And so you see this dramatic, like it's noticeable when you see it in bloom. You're going, wow, I got to have me one of them.
It's pretty fast growing for a locust, right?
Oh, very fast.
Robe.
Yeah, very fast.
All right, we covered that.
I did. I was waiting for you to comment on the accent I used. I got out of my box going, sorry. I don't even know where that came from.
I'm so used to hearing you do that.
I don't know, sir. Never mind.
Let it go.
I'll just start offending people.
Yes.
Stick with my Irish accent.
No.
Matey.
Matey?
Yeah, I know.
I'm not even going to go there. All right. Jack from Prescott says, you mentioned using different products for great tomatoes, but I didn't write down what you mentioned. And can you cover that again, please?
Jack, you got to take better notes. This is super easy. And there's a YouTube on that. I just shot one on our YouTube channel, and go take a look, or type in tomatoes in our website, wattersgardencenter.com. There's a search bar, type in tomatoes, probably the handout and the video will show up. So that's a repository of all garden content that we produce here. So Jack, it's an easy way to go back and take a look. So for those of you that are driving down the road right now, if you're note takers, pull over, pull up the notebook, take notes. Otherwise, just go to the website, wattersgardencenter.com, type in tomato, it'll pop right up for you. But here's what it was. So whenever I am planting tomatoes, just planted one yesterday morning, there are 3 things I do. 1, plant it deep. And then at the bottom of that tomato, where the roots are going to grow through it, sprinkle a little bit of Aqua Boost crystals. I wish I had that. I could show that for our video folks tuned in. But for the audio folks, visualize for me. Aqua Boost are polymer crystals that swell up and hold up 200 times their weight in water. This is going to help reduce that cracking skin, thick skins, tough tomatoes, because that's usually it's a water issue between you're watering in the morning, so things are nice and plump, and they dry out during the day, and this fruit just ebbs and flows. It swells and shrinks, and that's what causes that cracking. So Aqua Boost actually bridges or makes it more consistent with its watering, so you don't have that happen. It's a game changer. Every time I plant a vegetable, a flower, anything really, I'm sprinkling some Aqua Boost at the bottom where the roots are. In addition, I mentioned 2 products that I'm spritzing the vegetable garden with. Specifically, tomatoes and peppers are the most famous, but tomato and pepper set is what it's called here. When the plant is up to size and starting to set flowers, spritz it. Start every other week. Spritz that plant with basically fruit set or tomato and pepper set. It'll force the plant to slow down and start to set more fruit. In addition, we're famous for blossom end rot here. So that where that flower touches the fruit, it will actually rot off. And so that's almost a classic example of calcium deficiency. So there you're spritzing, again, another kind of ready to use spray. You're spritzing the plant with yield booster.
Yeah.
Yield. I'm trying to go. What is it?
Yeah.
Yield booster. So yield booster and blossom set, those two things once a week, just change them off and you will have unbelievable fruit count. Larger fruits, sweeter tasting because calcium brings out the flavor of your vegetables. That's Aqua Boost, Yield Booster, and tomato and pepper set. There you go. Jack, you got it all. Again, check the website. We were out of time like 10 seconds ago. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this. Watters' companion plants in May are Vining Akebia, Indian hawthorn, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and purple robe locusts.
Incredible long clusters of purple flowers in May that look just like wisteria flowers hanging from this local bloomer.
The 8-inch fragrant flowers cover the tree profusely.
Super hardy and drought tolerant with a brisk growth rate of 2 feet in 1 year.
It's just the perfect backyard shade tree.
You'll find the shadiest trees here at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
I thought I would take just a moment and explain something that has morphed and changed over the last 5 to 6 years. And that's one plant that was famous for your grandparents. It's a gigantic plant. You get 10, 12 feet tall, huge spires or pinnacles. It's also called summer lilac. It was, we call it, the botanical name is Buddleia, but the common name is butterfly bush. It was always a gigantic plant, which is too big for most yards, especially the newer yards that are here. Dark night butterfly bush was a beast. I mean, small children, dogs have been lost in butterfly bush. And so it's too large. We've spent the last few years breeding new varieties. And so we now have an entire series of half the size. So instead of 10 feet, it's 4 feet. We've even got one that's called Little Miss, I think. It's only 1 by 1 by 1 foot tall. Perfect for containers. Still has the same flowers, same butterflies coming through, same long summer season bloom, but it only gets 1 foot. So no care. I mean, just no pruning needed anymore. And your grandparents only had one color to choose from. Purple. Purple's pretty. Yeah, one purple's pretty, but then 5 of them aren't. So now you can collect butterfly bush like you do roses. So they've got different heights. So in roses, you've got climbers, which I guess would equate to that dark night butterfly bush, a gigantic one. And we've got that. And then there's your hybrid teas, floribundas, grandiflors, your hip high varieties of rose types. So that'd be Miss Molly, Miss Violet. This whole series of dwarfed varieties. We're grafting these onto different smaller root balls. So the roots control how large this plant gets. Now you don't need to prune it very often. It used to be you had to prune it back, these gigantic ones. If you didn't prune it back to hip high or knee high, the thing would take over the entire yard. Now you hardly have to do that. And now we've got the dwarfed or the miniatures or even the ground cover varieties of butterfly bush. It's amazing. They're beautiful. So literally the butterflies will be all over this. That's the reason they call it a butterfly bush. You will have monarchs. You will have swallowtails. You will have painted ladies. You'll have all the butterfly varieties. It is one of the top pollinator plants to put out in the yard. We call it summer lilac, another common name in parts of the country, because it has that same kind of flower that a lilac has. So lilacs have been in bloom for, at least 2 months. They're starting to fade now. They don't bloom in the summer. They bloom throughout the spring. Butterfly bush blooms from summer through the fall. They pulsate waves. Now, here's a little insider tip, what I do for mine, especially these newer varieties of dwarfed to truly genetically dwarfed varieties of butterfly bush. They don't self-prune very well, or they bloom like crazy, and they'll put on new flowers at the tips, and the back end of that flower kind of dies off, gets brown. And so, especially before parties, I'll go through and deadhead or clean up those old spent flowers, or I'll pinch off the older flowers. Then I will go through and I'll fertilize it with flower power. We make a fertilizer. It's a water-soluble fertilizer. It's got a scoop in it. You scoop it and put, a couple scoops in your 2-gallon watering can. You go out and you give water all your plants. I've been fertilizing my plants like crazy so that they will produce a lot of flowers sooner than my neighbors. I'm in competition. I admit it. I'm a gardener. I like my tomatoes. I like to pick them first. I like to have them bigger. I like to brag about how big my flowers are, my dahlias, my butterfly bush. And the way I do that is I fertilize them with flower power every couple of weeks. Actually, I've been cheating it. I've been going about every week or so now, just kind of front load it, really juice them, get them going. And they are starting to flower and look amazing. As soon as they start, I'll throttle back that fertilizer because you can't give them too much. I mean, you can't have them be too pretty sometimes. Not really, but you can really juice them pretty good. I'll kind of throttle that back because it can be some energy. I'm taking my 2-gallon watering cans out there in the yard and every weekend. And I don't want to do that as much. So I'll back it off to every couple of weeks. And it just keeps pulsating. These flowers that butterflies are just they can't pass a butterfly bush. When it's in bloom, they must go see it. It also attracts hummingbirds and other pollinators into the yards. But I think buddleias or butterfly bush, every yard should have at least one, if not 2 or 3 or 4, because you now collect them like you do roses. You can collect them like you do salvias. You can collect them, and they've got different sizes, places, containers, even folks in apartments or patios. You can have a butterfly bush and you'll have more activity. I mean, I think of butterflies as the fairies of the gardens. They're just magnificent. You can't not look at them. They're so beautiful. Anyway, that's how you get butterfly bush to bloom even more in your yard. We'll be right back. Ken here at Watters Garden Center, and we had a new flower come in. It's one of my favorites. We got it last year as a test, soft launch. This year we went all in because it performs well. It's a new sunflower. It's called Sunbelievable. The reason it's called Sunbelievable is supposed to put 1,000 flowers on, 1,000 sunflowers per year. I don't know if it does 1,000, but it does hundreds and hundreds. I can tell you that. So this is done. It automatically sets a new flower by itself. So a new one's coming up. So it's always got more flowers coming up. Unbelievable flowers. Those unbelievable flowers, sunflowers, here at Watters Garden. And back in the studio, Lisa Watters Lain. She comes each week, and we just give a segment just to her. Just kind of, what are you seeing in your gardens? And your gardens are pretty spectacular. You are not allowed to have any more containers at the house. That is it. The irrigation will not handle all of your plants. No more. So when you put one in, take one out. All I can tell you.
Can I bring one more home?
No, you can replace one, but you can't have no more pots. You can have something in a pot, but the irrigation only in your patio is just solid pots. She's got over 50 containers out there, folks, and she wants more. So, to be a garden center goddess.
But there's one plant I really, 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 really want.
I may have an open plant. There's the kale. I'm replacing the ornamental kale. With stuff, so we might be able to free time to transition.
Black-eyed Susan vines that came in.
Oh, those are neat.
So there's a real pretty one this year that has a white and pink. Usually they're orange and like a dark orange. This one's white with pink flowers too. So
okay,
I'll bring it home.
Bring it, and then, but it's got to go in a pot to replace something else.
We'll get rid of the kale.
I'm stressed out.
Who needs that healthy stuff? And we'll put a pretty plant in.
All right. So what do you got for us this week? You're inspiring gardeners that are tuned in, and they want to garden how?
So many people who are out there wanting to garden are also gardening to attract birds and butterflies into their yard. And the most famous one they want to attract are the hummingbirds.
I would say the swallowtails.
You think so?
Or the monarchs.
You don't know. Butterflies?
Yeah.
Like birds?
Oh, birds. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a man. I tuned out. I wasn't listening.
Anyway, so I thought I would talk about some perennial flowers that you could put out in your yard that will definitely attract those hummingbirds and the butterflies. So the hummingbirds they're looking for tubular flowers because they also eat a lot. So the great thing about having hummingbirds in your yard is they eat insects as well as the nectar.
That's true.
So they need both. They need that protein and that carbohydrate, that sugar. Keep going. So they'll help with the insects. Plus, they're just kind of fun to watch. So things that are tubular that they like, and for you, just in radio land, I have show and tell. So you just have to imagine. So this is a great plant for here. This is a brake light yucca. So it's a yucca, so it's very drought hardy, not going to take a lot of water. Loves the sun. Put it in a hot spot and it'll be happy. It sends up this bright red stalk of flowers the flowers have like little tubules in them. So hummingbirds absolutely love them. So this is an easy grow plant to throw out there. You don't have to think too much about. Not a lot of maintenance, not a lot of water, but the hummingbirds love it.
Put it out there for you folks on ridge lines. Mm-hmm. The more wind, the better. The more sun, the better. The more rocky, terrible soil, the better. Don't put it on drip irrigation. Water by hand. That's what yucca does. It's like agaves are the same way. Cacti. They're all companion plants. And this doesn't do it justice. It's a little one in the studio, but this will turn into a 3x3x3. Well, this brake light's dwarfed. 3x3. Call it knee high by knee high. Yeah. And then it just has multiple stalks. It'll have 3, 4, 5, 6 flower stalks.
It blooms all summer.
Red. Oh, yeah.
It'll literally bloom all summer up until fall. So a good one for hummingbird. Another one that most people know about, but it's a good reminder. So this is the salvia. Autumn sage is the other name for it. Another great drought hardy plant you can put in a hot spot. It actually does quite well in a shadier spot too, I have discovered. So very versatile plant. There again, you got the little tube flowers. They just love it.
Look how bright red that is on camera. That's crazy. It's almost glowing in the dark. It's beautiful. Yeah. And it'll do the same thing in your gardens.
Right. And it also comes in purple. It comes in like a peach salmon color, a white color. And it's not like you just have to have red. I mean, the hummingbirds aren't going to care.
Yeah.
The red's pretty for us, but they'll go to red, they'll go to pink, they'll go to white, purple, you pick it.
They like the taste more than the color and the shape of the flower, but they're all going to be knee high, cover. They bloom from now through autumn. Thus the name autumn sage. You actually get more beautiful as they grow and fill in. So autumn, this is like a number one seller at the garden center for attracting butterflies and hummingbirds both.
Yeah. Definitely. So great one. Another one is the penstemon, also known as beard's tongue. But you can this one's a pink, forget the name of it. Pink.
Let me help you. It is Harlequin pink.
Harlequin pink. It's a really bright pink with white centers. Beautiful. I love the penstemons. Just a great little flower for here. There again, it come in a multitude of colors. Kind of a multitude of varieties. Penstemon is a big family of flowers. So, but great ones for those hummingbirds.
And native. This grows wild. You're seeing a red, a white. There's a pink that just grows wild on the forest. You see a tall, kind of a perennial wildflower that's growing. And the hummingbirds will actually bicker and fight over this. They're going, no, it's mine. No, it's mine. It's mine. They're kind of like seagulls, only in miniature form. Mine. Yeah. So, and those folks that are tuned in on the video piece, the YouTube channels, there's no filter on this camera. Right. This is the natural color. It's actually glowing on film. That just it's so bright and so colorful. That's how hummingbirds see it as well. Penstemon.
Yep. So hummingbirds like those tubular flowers. Butterflies, they kind of like landing pads. So they like flowers that have more of a surface that they can land on and suck the nectar out that way. So yarrow is a great one. So I brought this yarrow. This is, I think, desert sea, red desert sea. They're getting great drought hardy plant. Loves the sun. Put it in a spot where it's nice and hot, and it'll kind of continue to bloom all season long. This one's a real pretty red one, but it also comes in yellow, moonshine yellow, There's a terracotta color. So they're getting a few different colors in there. Doesn't matter the color. It's the plant itself that they like. So this is a really good one to put in as well.
I put a native yellow in our backyard, and this takes, again, surprising little, it doesn't get full sun.
Right.
It maybe gets 4 hours, and it blooms a crazy long time in our personal gardens, but it will go full on in the wild. It's right out there in the full bright, from morning till evening, bright hot sun. It's got this real thick kind of thick foliage that protects it. And so just, you're going to have butterflies if you've got yarrow. And
it's pretty animal resistant as well.
Especially the yellows and the whites. Sometimes the deer can, on the paprika colors, but they're tough.
Okay. So that's a good one. The scabiosa, which is an absolutely horrible name. The other name is pincushion flower.
Pincushion's better.
So this one usually comes in pinks and lavenders. I've seen it occasionally in white, not as pretty in white. I like the pinks and the lavenders. Has a beautiful little flat flower that sticks up above the foliage. So the foliage is low down, and then the flowers stick up probably 12 inches above that foliage.
Yeah, easily.
And just a beautiful little plant to put out there in your perennial beds, your yards. It does very nicely.
Looks like a pincushion. I mean, literally, that's the name. Looks like a pincushion. You have a bunch of you seamstress out there, but butterflies look at it and go, just yummy. Delightful. They just hang out and rest and eat, and they'll just rest on the pads, enjoy each other.
Definitely. So we're almost out of time, but I'll show you one more. Of course, we have to show this one. So this is a butterfly plant. So this one's purple, but they come in, they're again, a multitude of colors and a multitude of sizes. You can get some that go 6 to 8 feet, some that go 4 to 5 feet, and some that are 2 feet. So some of the pugsters are nice.
Buzz Hot Rhapsody Butterfly Bush.
So that's about a 4 foot, 4 by 4 one. Beautiful bright flowers on them, blooms all summer long. I mean, you're just kind of deadheading and making them pretty. And
we're out of time, baby. You got more here. So lots of butterfly plants. We've got a list. If you want to take a look at that, go to wattersgardencenter.com. Tap the Learn button, and there's a butterfly, Learn at the very top. There's a butterfly and hummingbird plant list right there with these and more. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back.
There's nothing like tomatoes picked fresh from your garden.
Watters Mountain Tomato Collection are varieties proven to produce and thrive. Heirlooms, beefsteaks, cherries, naturally grown for local success.
Completely organic, never genetically altered, and utterly delicious. They're ready for your garden now.
You can grow your own this spring, and we can help. Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Shop Watters in-store or online at wattersgardencenter.com.
We are back on the Mountain Gardener. One of the beautiful things about having a studio right here at the Garden Center live is when someone really smart comes in, go, Bill, that was super interesting. You can't just train my staff. You got to share this with the entire audience. All of Northern Arizona should know about this. So Bill Jones, he is our Fertilome high yield. Basically, if it crawls, you want it dead. If it's a weed, you want it gone. If your plants are a little yellow, they aren't blooming as well, Bill's our go-to guy. So he teaches us so that we can teach you how to use the things that he sells. But he's our Fertilome guru or high yield guru. And the reason we like Bill and Fertilome is, well, he's a friend, and Fertilome is a co-op where a bunch of garden centers got together and we formed this company and we have control over it. Bill, you work for us, the independent garden centers, and you want what's best for all of us. And so, Bill Jones, welcome to the Mountain Gardener.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
Yeah, you're welcome. So tell us, how long have you been in the industry, and tell us about yourself. Why do you do this?
Everybody, we're kind of a strict fraternity that when you get in the garden industry, they never let you go.
That's true. Yeah.
You're kind of like, you're like a vampire. You got bit, and now you're for the rest of your life, you're going to be in the garden industry.
Instead of vampires, I like to say this industry is where you put your roots down. And you just don't go anywhere else. It seems friendlier than I'm going to suck your jugular and make sure you never leave. No, it does seem like the same faces The companies come and go, but the folks that work in this business stay. And so you've been doing this for how long?
You know what? My first job, I worked in a garden center 44 years ago.
Wow.
And the funny thing was, that's 45 years ago. The funny thing was, I was so afraid of the chemical aisle, or that because you could give somebody bad advice,
Oh, right.
and
Make a mistake.
they could kill their grandmother's favorite rose bush, or you can give a bad advice about an insecticide and make the apple poisonous, like Snow White's apple.
Yeah.
And so I started listening and talking to the people there, and then you just don't forget this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so back then, the pesticides were a lot different than today.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that's been taken off the market because it was too persistent.
Yeah.
It stayed in the environment. Most of the stuff now, and the fertilome stuff that Watters carries, is a lot eco-friendlier,
right,
than what it was.
Downright organic. Yeah, absolutely.
40 and 50 years ago.
Yeah, much safer for your pets, the birds, your husband. It's just safer for you. So it's just better. So absolutely. That's what I love about your products. And you come in, it is intimidating. You go up to that wall of death and decay at the boxer and go, I have no idea where to even start. We're trying to curate. So we know that tent caterpillars are going to come in. We know that grasshoppers will be. We know that aphids and bark beetle. We know the bugs that are in the gardens here. And so we're trying to pick your brain going, hey, Bill, what's the best thing to keep bark beetle or pinyon pine scale at bay? And you guide us through and you get us the right one. And sure enough, it works. Yes. And so we don't make mistakes. We can get it honed in just right.
And the advantage of your employees is that they aren't intimidated by that wall,
right?
Because you have trained them well. And so when the customer comes in, because if you go into a big box store, you've got somebody who last week was selling
plumbing,
selling PVC. Exactly. And this week, all of a sudden, he's going to give you advice on how to keep grasshoppers from coming, invading your yard and eating you out of, house and home.
Yeah. So what's your territory? Where do you cover? So you're in Arizona, California,
I go to New
West,
Mexico. Yeah, I've got New Mexico. I've got Arizona. I've got Southern Nevada and Southern California.
Gotcha. That's pretty big. And how many reps are out there? How many people does it take to cover a nation? Is it 12 or 10?
For Fertilome, they've got about 15 reps.
Is that it? Okay. I have no idea.
Reps.
Okay. Interesting. And the best part, what do you sell what's the number one thing you sell? Is it fertilizer, bug killers, disease stuff, weed preventers?
You know what? Weed preventers. Really? And in an awful lot of markets, not so much Arizona, but people have lawns that get invaded with either crabgrass or dandelions. So the selective weed killers are a big market, and a lot of that, the old 2,4-D products, or what's called Trimec, which has also dicamba in with the 2,4-D. That is what it selectively does. It kills the weeds, but it ignores the grass. Because people don't want to kill it all. Otherwise, they can just pour gasoline on it and light it ablaze.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So for where lawns are grown, which is not Northern Arizona, water's so expensive. It just darn. If we do have lawns, they're postage stamped. They're little tiny things. We have rock lawns. So here we seem to sell more weed preventer. So your weed and grass stopper is what it's called on the label. It's a granular. You spread it across the rock lawn, and then it just keeps seed from germinating.
Yeah,
just keeps them out.
That blew in from last year, blew in from your neighbors. It keeps that going, and it's more effective in a low traffic area, because what this stuff does, the active ingredient puts down a vaporous layer like cellophane. And if the cellophane is disturbed, if you're trudging over it with golf shoes, it's not going to last as long. But if it's a low traffic area, it's good for upwards of an entire season. We tell them put it down twice a year. There you go. Mainly because we get two waves of weeds. Right now, we're getting the cool season, the dandelions, that kind of stuff are coming up. And then we have a second when the monsoons hit. If you put it down right before the monsoons, that's when all the tumbleweeds, the goat head, the horehound, all the nasty weeds that, like when your dogs walk across the yard and they're limping because a burr stuck into it keeps them all at bay. And so if you put it down twice a year, you will have no weeds or greatly reduced number of weeds, like 95, 97%, tiny amount. Yeah. Absolutely. One thing you could help us with, grasshoppers are a serious thing.
And so we sell a product here called Turf Ranger. It sounds like it's for grass, but it's not.
No.
It's for keeping grasshoppers and scorpions and cutworms, things that crawl across the ground. It's made to keep them at bay. Can you explain how do you use Turf Ranger? I can show them on camera.
Yeah, you know what?
This is what it looks like, but I wanted Bill to explain it. He explained it to our staff. I wanted to explain it to you all so we're all smarter across northern. But grasshoppers are a serious problem here. How do they use this product?
You know what? What they do is they put it down as a barrier treatment.
Right.
And then you try to do it in the late afternoon and give it a gentle watering so that some will get into the soil right then. And because you do it in late afternoon when the sun's not so hot, if it dries too quickly, it doesn't last. It won't work for the immediate
So
results.
the water activates it. Am I hearing that? So
yeah, water washes it off of the pellets because the pellets they could be corn cobs, they could be just
it's a delivery device.
Yeah, it's a delivery device. Then when you wash it off and then it doesn't dry, flash dry like it is if it was 100 degrees here. The flash drying just ruins the effect for the long term. It'll kill the bugs today, but it won't kill the bugs 3-4 months from now, which the stuff will do if you apply it correctly. So what we want you to do is apply it late afternoon, water it gently, or if you know it's going to rain, and then keep the pets off of it that night. Keep the pets locked up that night, just because when they're walking through it, they do like to lick their little feet and all that afterwards. And then after that, it's bonded to the
activate
soil.
it with the water. It goes down in the soil, then let it dry, and you're good to go with pets and birds and all that kind of stuff.
Else is fine.
Super effective.
Yes.
At even the big grasshoppers. Some of them they're like, you need a shotgun. They're big as birds. They're ridiculous size. To the smaller ones that fly in, it keeps them all at bay.
Yes, it does.
And I sell Turf Ranger as a way to put it around the edge of your properties, down the driveway, put it out where that wild range across the way. They're coming in from there if they cross that area, that 10-foot barrier, it's gonna get rid of them. So it's
like a moat.
It's like a moat.
You know, so you built your castle. And they've got a moat, and then you've got the drawbridge. And
exactly.
Put it down. But that's a good way to visualize how it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And it does real well. Then after that, just a few bugs here or there. You could spot apply if you choose to, but you're not going to have the infestations.
Gotcha.
It's not going to be the disaster that it would be if you didn't have anything and they just come in just, lock, stock, and barrel.
That's super. Thank you. You've helped me figure this. I was telling folks to do it in the morning. I was doing it wrong. I apologize, folks. You do it in the afternoon, right before dusk. You activate it with water. You let it dry off, and you're good for the next months.
Yes.
To keep bugs at bay. Wow. Bill Jones, he is a super smart guy. He's our person for all the bug, weed, nutrient kind of stuff. He's our go-to. But Bill, I appreciate you being here. You are tuned into the Mountain Gardener, but we got to take a break. Be right back. Watters companion plants in May are Vining Akebia, Indian hawthorn, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and purple robe locusts.
Incredible long clusters of purple flowers in May that look just like wisteria flowers hanging from this local bloomer.
The 8-inch fragrant flowers cover the tree profusely.
Super hardy and drought tolerant with a brisk growth rate of 2 feet in 1 year.
It's just the perfect backyard shade tree.
You'll find the shadiest trees here at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
So any of you that follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, these are the video formats, the reels on Instagram, YouTube even. Less so on YouTube. If you follow me on the social media platforms, I take my phone out and I just kind of go, here's what's pretty. And I post them. You'll see my gardens in bloom. You'll kind of follow me through the garden center, those are basically my world where I live. And I just posted a video on Facebook and Instagram. I don't know if it migrated over to TikTok. I apologize if you're a TikToker. Anyway, the video. You should follow us. But I posted what was on the back dock that's really pretty for this weekend that's ready for gardening. So if you're a gardener, you're going to garden this weekend, here are the things that are fresh off the truck. It's kind of exciting. If you're a gardener, it's like Christmas. Every time that truck rolls in from the farm, which is virtually every day, something's coming from some farm. This was the perennial annual and some of the butterfly bush farms. So here is, I thought I'd give you a verbal cue of what was on the social media. Of course, check us out. You can see it. That's right at the top of the feed. If you want to go take a look, if you're looking for Watters Garden Center, you will find it easily. But here's what was showing up. So purple fountain grass. This is a spiky purple grass, real soft, fast growing, very striking purple. People were asking for it last weekend, and we just didn't have any. We had Dracaena's purple spikes, which is another one. It's used frequently in the center of a container, and that is an accent piece. But the purple fountain grass, it's here. The first crop of many. That's one that we will restock every week at this point. Once they come into their own, we just have crop rotations that show off. The cannas are here. This is a big, tall, beautiful perennial with tropical looking foliage and fluorescent. I mean, bright colored flowers. They stand up erect, proud in the gardens. You don't put them at the front edge of your perennial gardens. You put them in that mid to the back side or the center of a container. There's no flower like a canna, C-A-N-N-A, cannas. They're perennials that come back every year, but they're quite striking. Cannas will grow almost anywhere in the gardens. The one thing you got to watch for them is wind. So this wind we had earlier in the week, it's spring, it's winding the mountains. It starts to tear the foliage sometimes. So if you can have it on a patio or protected area, it helps it mainly from the wind. But the flowers are amazing. And it takes that clay soil out in the valleys. It's great. We had our first crop of mandevilla or passion vine. This is a very deep, rich, glossy foliage that comes out with these gigantic bell-shaped flowers, bright reds, bright whites, bright pinks, bright colors, and it takes that blistering hot sun. It's just very robust. Hummingbirds are going to love you. It does tend to be an annual, so it lives for a year unless you bring it indoors. It is a house plant sometimes. So, but there's no vine like that. It's just amazing. And these were gigantic varieties. So these were really tall specimen types of mandevilla or passion vine, and a lot of perennials. The first portulaca came in. Some what else? Nepeta or salvia that came in. Lots of the pollinator perennials. So there's lots of fresh new things you can garden with here at Watters Garden Center for the weekend. Watters Garden companion plants in May are vining achebia, purple robe locust, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and Indian hawthorn.
Wind is no problem for this Indian hawthorn.
Rose-colored flowers cover this spring bloomer that often repeat blooms in fall.
Dark blue berries adorn this compact bush that takes the wind and soaks up the sun like a native.
Perfect for low-maintenance gardens with virtually no pruning ever.
Every backyard should have at least one, and only found here at Watters Garden Center in Prescott.
For a more fruitful garden, increased success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit wattersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Watters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.